Welcome to Still with Purpose. This is Amanda and Christy.
Our goal is to dig deep and discuss real, raw subjects in pursuit of greater self-awareness, positive transformation and healing, and to link arms and journey with you to find purpose and passion in life. We're back. Today we're talking about the question, which is a really good one. Why is it so hard to just listen without fixing, proving, or relating it back to ourselves? I'm excited to talk about this. Amanda, what's our quote?
Listening with depth demands patience, openness, and a genuine pursuit of understanding, reflecting the very best of who we are. This one's going to be interesting because I think I give myself about a 2 out of 10 on listening. And I've also been given feedback that I'm not that great of a listener. But I'll give my justifications later on. But pretty much listening to understand and to reflect the very best of who I am means to me being so grounded in the fact that I have no judgment on your life as you are sharing and hold you fully capable of making the changes needed to thrive in all areas of your life. So can you imagine a world like that? If we truly held people personally responsible to course correct and make the changes they need to make?
You're saying without us intervening or trying to fix it?
Or can you imagine a world where no one got on our nerve or hurt our feelings and we weren't needing praise and gratitude at all? What a huge time saver this would be, especially for me. But as we've talked about before, then that would create so much time that I would be doing what I was called to do again.
Instead of focusing on being hurt and insulted or trying to fix others.
We're called to love, and we're incapable of really doing that if we are in judgment. If I'm standing in my greatness, then they are attracted to something that motivates them to shift and be the best they can be. But if I'm standing in judgment and don't care to understand you, you are attracted to the part of me that speaks to your crappy core belief and inner critic. I help you stay close to growth and also excuse myself as well.
So it's either two people working towards a common positive growth and outcome, or two people working together towards a negative or non-growth outcome.
Kind of goes back to the wolves that we talked about last week. Are you feeding in your friend? Person standing in front of you. What are you feeding in them? What are you feeding in yourself? But really look at why you keep someone in your space, because it's one or the other.
So if somebody's not listening to you and being judgmental or trying to fix you, if you're tolerant of that, you're feeding your own crappy core belief by allowing it to continue, is what I'm hearing.
So one of the quotes that I found was, listening is one of the most important skills a leader can choose to develop. And if you don't know this is a great tool that I've learned in personal development rooms. There's 3 ways of listening. One's agree with, where you're just constantly shaking your head, not really listening. There's no way you agree with every single thing that's coming out of someone's mouth, but you're agreeing with so that they can stop talking so that you can get your point across. And then the second one is disagree with. So then you're just shaking your head again, trying to get them to stop talking so that you can go ahead and disagree, or you just flat out interrupt them because you disagree. That's not good listening either. And then the third kind, which is the healthy kind, is you're listening to understand. Personally, I've been given hard feedback recently, actually, that I don't listen at all when someone's sharing something hurtful or an experience that had happened to them. I personally tend to go into trying to fix it or give an example of something I've gone through just to relate to them is what I'm trying to do. But it ends up making them feel completely unheard and seen at all.
I catch myself doing that too. I immediately, which I'm doing it to you right now, actually. Because I'm relating it back to what I do. Same thing. Like somebody will tell a story and I'll say, oh, that happened to me too, and kind of go into it. And then I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry. I started talking about myself rather than addressing what you were trying to tell me. I've actually apologized for that many times before because I feel it. Once you stop talking about yourself, you can feel the other person probably thinking, how did that just get turned around about them? So that's one way that I do it in friendships. that I'll catch myself. I do it in work mode. And this goes back to our discussion that we had at some point about anxiety. When you're more concerned about yourself and your pride and your ego, you're listening to think, how am I going to respond? And how am I going to come off looking when I respond? So that's a different type for me. And then I do it when I'm arguing because I want to rebuttal the point and prove that I'm right. So different modes of doing the same thing and relating it back to me.
I would say if my relationship's not real clean and clear and there's a little bit of stuff in between us, I don't know how to be a good listener at that point because we have something in between us that needs to be resolved way before you feel safe telling me this story again. Like, wait, our relationship isn't safe right now for either one of us. So you trying to connect with me with a story when I know you don't feel safe with me makes me very uncomfortable. I'd rather talk about why we don't feel safe around each other anymore and clean and clear that up so that I can really listen to you and hear what you're saying. If it's feedback to me, I probably would hear it way better and from a place of love if I knew we were clean and clear.
That's a really good point, Amanda, because I've been told you need to listen and be a safe place. All the while, I feel like there are other things that need to be addressed before I can feel like a safe place or a good listener. So exactly what you're saying, it's hard to do that if you feel like there are things that you need to talk through and resolve.
I think going into the comedy side of things, we're trained in, I'm not formally trained in comedy. I've just been around it and been around funny people my whole life. I've learned the trade. I've mimicked the trade. From when I was a young girl, I know what makes people laugh. I can read a room. That gave me a sense of value for sure. It helped me dissipate anger in a room that I was uncomfortable in. And so a lot of times I'm a poor listener because I'm looking to banter because that's what comedians do. They banter back and forth. They hear a key word and they go off wit for the next sentence. You're throwing it back in their hands. And so that's created me to be, this is no excuse. I'm just saying this is one of the qualities I can attribute it to is that I go into banter mode instead of I'm going to sit here and shut my mouth as you describe your whole situation. I don't need to commiserate with you. I don't need to fix it. I don't even have an answer for you. I'm going to hold you completely capable of your answers because a lot of times when you just shut your mouth, people hear what they're saying out loud and they come up with their own answers. And that's actually what a good listener does.
Going back to what you said, the healthy type of listening is listening to understand. So you have to understand before you can come up with a good answer.
But if someone is giving you harsh feedback, it's hard and it's not coming from a place of love. It's more like, I need to be right that you wronged me. Then it's pretty hard to listen to that when you have boundaries of, I don't want to be treated like that ever. So now you're caught in a situation where, again, neither one of you feels safe with each other in the moment for the conversation. And you're exactly right. I want to talk about why we don't feel safe together, not override that and sweep that under the rug. We're not good with each other. Let's go ahead and talk about that.
Right. Because in my head, I'm thinking about all those things and not listening.
No. Or you go right into disagree or agree with. Just get this conversation over with. Just tell me all the feedback you have about me. And you're thinking probably, or I'm thinking the whole time, are they going to own their side? Because I'm only hearing my side here.
Yeah.
I'm only hearing what I need to shift, which makes you defensive. It makes you not want to change. It makes me defensive and causes me to not want to change or listen to what you're saying.
And then in the situations where two people feel the same way, two people that are just not listening to the other person doing the same thing. So that whole saying of talking to a brick wall, you have two people talking to a brick wall.
It goes into sentences like you never, and then that's more shutdown. And we talked about this in the past around you cannot keep sweeping stuff under the rug. You have to clean and clear out. And if you're not willing to go clean slate on the relationship and come from a total forgiveness mode of, hey, we're going to build from here on, then what are you supposed to do with that? Now there's a choice to be made because neither one of you are treating each other with love and respect. And so now we both have boundaries of what we're willing to accept as healthy behavior. And now we need to make a choice because we we aren't accepting that behavior towards each other.
Yeah. And, clean slating doesn't mean just wipe it clean without discussion. You have to talk through all of the issues and find resolve.
Yes. A clean slate is you're both committed to the value of the relationship and you are willing to come from I the whole entire time and clean slate everything that you feel like created this in the relationship. And also understanding, I can see why you probably had hurt feelings around this situation. And this is what I feel like I tried to do to make it right. And I need to know if we can come from a place of forgiveness on this, not you statements. You did this, and that's why I acted the way I did. No, there's two people involved here. We don't just act like jerks and want to have relationships out of order just for fun.
Right. Exactly.
Unless we're completely committed to drama. If we're committed to drama and not having joy and peace in our life, which I definitely was years ago, then of course I would hang out with you. If you're a person that creates drama, then we're going to create together so I can be unhappy.
Until you do that clean slating, or I don't love the phrase clean slating because it sounds like you're just erasing it like a whiteboard. I think instead of erasing it, you need to work through the long division math problem and get the answer. You know what I mean? And then you can erase it.
So do a whole Einstein math problem on the whiteboard.
Yes.
Then when you both agree that you are going to move forward from here in a healthy way, it doesn't mean you won't mess up. It means that you're committed to the relationship working. This is with all relationships, you guys, even with your kids. Then you are both in agreement and you have buy-in from both people. You'll have old attitudes that come up. But if you have that buy-in from both people, then the person could say, hey, you're kind of sounding like Aunt whoever. And you can make it fun. You could say something like, have a code word. Hey, I'm feeling slimy right now because that personality is your old one. And we decided that we weren't going to talk to each other that way. That voice and tone actually makes me feel attacked.
Oh, those are good tips. But until you do that, going back to the point of this discussion, it's really hard to truly listen to somebody if you do have junk between you.
Yep. So again, if you're self-aware and you realize that you make it about you in the conversation or you're trying to get it off their pain, you want to fix it, there's something else underlying that needs to be looked at in your relationship.
How do you feel, this is a total sidebar, but how do you feel like today with the distractions that we have adds to this problem of not being able to listen? Because I'm just thinking about myself. I think I've been trained through over 20 years in the industry that I'm in. I multitask all the time. I have to, or I'll never get done and I'll never have time back to myself towards the end of the day. I wouldn't even say at the end of the workday. Towards the end of the day, I'd like some time back for myself. So if I don't multitask and try to listen while answering an email and also making sure that that text thread doesn't keep going and just all the different distractions, I think that makes it even that much harder for us.
So this is going back into reading a room and being aware of your surroundings and where you're at, because I taught my kids at a young age. I have a huge stuffed chair in my bedroom, and we had an agreement that if they plopped themselves on that chair, I would stop everything because I knew a solid conversation was happening because I have two boys. So that's very rare. But when they plopped on that chair, I'm going to go ahead and set everything aside because this is a special moment and I get to learn about my kid and what's going on with them. Also, I brought in puzzles to my family because you are not looking at each other. You're focusing on a puzzle, but I got to know my kids more doing puzzles than I ever have because they didn't feel harsh judgment. I could just be kind of low key. Oh, so what do you think about that? Oh, so what are you going to do about that? Those kind of questions instead of you need to fix this right now. And how are your grades going? Are you doing your homework? Any of the questions that put people on the defense. But as far as phones, if I have an important conversation, I need to be able to say, hey, when do you have 10 minutes? Or could we always make Wednesday our night? And then I will hold my things that I want to discuss for Wednesday nights, have deeper conversations, and then have play and fun relationship all the other days. Unless I say, hey, I need 10 minutes of your undivided attention, and those phones need to be put away. But you also need to be cognizant to the person's in the middle of something and just be like, hey, when you have 10 minutes, can we have a no interruption conversation?
Yeah, I think it definitely goes both ways. And I think you're exactly right. We got to now be intentional about put phones away. Or I've made a real clear request to my family members because I work from home. So don't just assume you can walk up and start talking to me and I'm going to listen.
Check in at all.
That is not the case. And in fact, for a long time, I was feeling huge disrespect because what makes you think that by you walking up and just starting talking, that means that what I'm doing is less important. And so I'm just going to drop it. My calendar is fully blocked because people get time with me because they know that I have a million other things to get done. But you think you can just walk up and start talking and I'm going to start listening? That feels disrespectful to me, a disrespect of my time. Yeah. So I think it goes both ways. You have to almost, you're saying, request carved out time from someone to show respect for their time. And then you have to be intentional about putting away the distractions when you know the other person needs that. And I'm speaking to myself in all of this. Trust me, I think both sides are really important.
If someone is looking at their phone when I'm telling a story, I will quite literally walk away in the middle of my conversation. Let's not bother. I'm good.
Depending on what it is, I've gotten to the point where I'll just say, oh, I'll wait until you're done.
I'll catch you. Or let me know when you can actually, it doesn't have to be said so harshly. You can find ways to just be like, hey, let me know when we can actually talk about this because it's really a sensitive subject or it really means a lot.
I think I only say that to people who are closest to me and it probably comes out really hateful. But I don't mean for it to be. I just matter of factly, you let me know when you're done. I'll wait.
It's like teachers used to do that to us when we were kids, right? Yeah. We'll wait till Amanda shuts her mouth. That's literally a sentence I've heard. So at the beginning, I gave myself a 2 on listening, and I talked about the comedy aspect of it. The other part is I feel like I have the gift of exhortation. So while you're talking, I'm seeing your insane abilities that you aren't bringing to the table. And that's judgment. But I rather encourage you instead of you be in the pit. But at the same time, that's your choice to be in the pit. It's not my job to fix it, but somehow there's that. I want to fix it, right? So I'm going to bring in my exhortation or encouragement part. And I talked about a lot of times I just want to commiserate with you so that you're not the only one that's gone through that. But I've definitely gotten feedback in the past. It's extremely hurtful for me to commiserate when you know nothing about what I went through. You did not walk through what I walked through. So I don't need your story that has nothing to do with the validity of how much pain I'm in. I was like, that's great feedback. And then based on the book I read, part of it is, this is brutal. I don't respect where you're choosing to be in life. I have something better to say, or I need to be right in the area that you're talking about, or I need to be worth something and valuable. So my need to help is a cavernous void to never be filled. And probably the most used, and probably my biggest one is your Eeyore victim personality is so strong and I must interrupt you so that I don't have to join you. So listening and being with is the most valuable form of listening. They feel heard and they actually just needed to hear themselves speak it out loud to locate the answers within, like I said before. And if I do nothing except listen, I have no answers.
And that's okay. We don't have to have the answers. Sometimes I've said it before, I just need you to listen. I don't need you to try to fix it. I don't need your opinion. I just need you to listen. And that's it. And so I need to remember that as well. Sometimes people do not want my story back or your story back or our thoughts on what they've had to say. Just listen.
I think my closest friends have gotten used to my poor listening. I'm not justifying this. This is something I'm working on. I think they've gotten used to it to the point where they can say, hey, I need you to just listen. I need to vent. Give me 5 minutes to completely vent, and then I will come up with a solution of what I'm going to do moving forward. And that is a healthy conversation because then I don't feel like I have to own any of your crap. I'm here to support you so that you can come up with your own answer.
That's healthy on the other person's side to just proactively predict and ward off any interruptions and just, hey, here's what I need.
It's huge. So basically, keep growing, keep glowing, and practice being silent and listen. Remember, they are coming to you because you are a safe person, not because you have their answers.
This whole safe person thing, I'm not digging it because I was told you've got to be a safe space. But I'm like, wait a minute. So you're saying I've got to be a safe space when I don't feel like there's a safe space? So going back to what you're saying, there's a lot to be resolved before I can be a safe space. So I don't know that it's always coming to the person because they're a safe person. It could be coming with a lot of complaints and noise and resentment and bitterness. One thing this is making me think of too is how important we both feel it is to be still and quiet and listen for God's direction and God's voice. And so I know that even when it's hard for us to listen in our daily lives to other people, maybe a really great place to start with that is going back to our quiet time and our reflection time and just trying to listen things other than our own selves and our own thoughts that are so distracting. What do you think about it?
Just being quiet. I remember when that was really hard for me. In fact, at the beginning of yoga, I know it's so good for me to stretch my body out. But when I first started, I could not sit still for 5 minutes. I was so annoyed. You want me to lay here and do these weird positions? But it's the same with God. Can we sit quietly and not go into thinking or request? Just sit there. He actually will respond. But do we want to hear the answer? That's the real question.
Which is such a strange thing because for me, I feel like the thoughts that I have, that's God speaking to me. So in fact, I do start thinking, but it starts with trying to just really focus on maybe it's something I read in the Bible or maybe it's a situation that happened and it's just, okay, God, how do you want me to handle this? And just trying to be still and not forcing any thoughts of my own.
Interesting, because I had a week that I had probably 5 really tough conversations. And it was after our podcast dropped around forgiveness. And I was already talking to God about this. Hey, what do I need to work on and take care of in my personal life, so that I am not a hypocrite as these podcasts drop every week? And then I attracted 5 really tough conversations. There was a lot of tears, and that's God answering prayer through people too, being aware of and listening. Maybe their feedback's not going to hit every time. Maybe it's not going to come from a clean place, but maybe it's exactly what you prayed for, and that feedback will help you shift into the person you've been praying to step into.
And in that case, we've got to really listen to understand, to really get what God's trying to tell us.
Yes.
We also talk a lot about hearing confirmations from God. A lot of times there will be something for me that comes up several times in a day, whether I hear it in a song and then a friend says something that I'm like, oh, so weird that you would say that because I've been thinking about this all day. But that requires listening too, right? Really keeping something in focus and listening for it. That's another form for me of listening for God's guidance.
At church, a sermon, something you listen to online can confirm it again, and then a friend can confirm the same thing again. And I do pray for confirmations because I do want to know that that's actually the words that God wants me to go off of, instead of, hey, this friend out of the blue had this feedback for me. I haven't really heard that several times this week or from several people, so I don't know that that hits.
I think this is really great too, because it's almost like we're confirming that it's okay for us to hear things from God and relate it back to ourselves. Whereas with people, we've already talked about that can be offensive and that can make people feel like we're not listening, because I do. I tend to hear something and I relate it right back to myself. God is our ultimate safe space. We can do that every single time with God, and he's not going to be offended. He probably wants us to relate it back to ourselves because he's probably trying to get something across to us that we need to learn or pay attention to. So that's a big aha for me that I'm going to take with me, that while I need to restrain and refrain from doing that to other people, I can do it as much as I want with God.
That's a beautiful statement. He is the ultimate safe space. Love that. So back to the original question, why is it so hard to just listen without proving or relating it back to ourselves? I hope that we gave you tools to think about how you can be a better listener from now on, and it will change all your relationships. I guarantee it.
Agreed. And I think we'll go into some reflection questions in just a second, but just thinking about the quote, and I mentioned it earlier, for me, it's several different reasons for not being a good listener in different situations. So thinking about it in context of all those different ones are going to give me a lot to ponder, and in a different way for each one.
You'll catch yourself doing this. And you'll see it in others, and it's actually really funny.
I nod a lot. I know I do. And sometimes that's because I'm not listening as much as I should be when I'm multitasking, we talked about. Sometimes I truly am listening to understand. And so I'm almost willing the conversation along because I want to hear more. But I know I do that nodding quite a bit. Okay, yeah. To reflect on this week, first off, when I'm listening, am I trying to understand or trying to be understood? Next, what need am I really needing when I jump in to fix or relate? And then the last one, how can I practice being fully present without needing to have the answer? Nice. That'll be really good to carry throughout the week and try.
We'd love to hear from you guys. We have a private Facebook group. We'd love for you to join and make comments of your ahas and just be in a community with us.
We promise to listen.
Thanks for joining us today. We know your time is valuable and we hope you have a phenomenal week.
Until our next episode, find more content and social links at stillwithpurpose.com.